Okay, so please don't leave. If you clicked on this video and you're terrified of maths, please don't leave. There's not actually going to be much maths. So the other day I was thinking about demisexuality and how if someone comes up to you and they say, I am demisexual, that tells you that how they feel sexual attraction. It tells you that they feel sexual attraction after they've formed a strong emotional bond with someone. Which is great. That's a good label. It kind of encapsulates a whole experience within it. But what it doesn't tell you is whom they're feeling the sexual attraction towards. I thought that was a bit strange because obviously most other sexual and romantic orientations are centered on whom you're feeling the attraction towards. So homosexual, for example, gay people are feeling sexual attraction to people of the same gender as them. But demisexuality on its own doesn't contain any information about whom you're attracted to. So you kind of have to add a modifier saying, oh, I'm a straight demi-person, or I'm a gay demi-person, or I'm a demi-homosexual or something. Along those lines. If you know anything about vectors, you've probably worked out where I'm going here. If you don't know anything about vectors, I'm going to teach you something. So sit down and learn about vectors. So a vector is basically a quantity which has both a magnitude and a direction. So I could say I'm 5'11". That's not a vector because my height doesn't have a direction. But I could say you are 6 feet away from me and in this direction. So it's like there's the 6 feet and in this direction. So it has both a size and a direction. Basically, that's what a vector is. So the reason why I'm talking about vectors is because I think you can equate demisexuality and, say, heterosexuality, one being the magnitude and one being the direction. So let's say that you identify as straight. That means that you are feeling a typical level of sexual attraction and you're feeling it towards people of the opposite gender. So you have a magnitude and you have a direction. Demisexual on its own just gives you the magnitude. It just tells you how you feel the attraction, but it doesn't tell you whom you're feeling it towards. But if you add that modifier, say a straight demi or something like that, then you've given the whole picture, who you're attracted to and how. I guess that's, instead of magnitude and direction, you can say who and how. That might work a bit better for people who don't like maths. You can then have, I guess, multiple. In this case, you can have multiple directions because people who are bi can be attracted to more than one gender. Same with pan; they can be attracted to all genders, which is interesting to think about. I don't know. It may just be interesting to me. You've probably clicked off this video by now because I'm just rambling. But if you're still here and you want to learn about maths and stuff, then I'm probably not going to teach you because it's been a while since I did proper maths. But I think asexuality and aromanticism are an interesting case because you don't feel sexual attraction. So that implicitly tells you both the magnitude and the direction because you're not like a 0 doesn't have a direction. If that makes sense. So you're just not feeling the attraction. So since you're not feeling the attraction, therefore you're not feeling it in a direction. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting way to think about attraction, to think, okay, this is who I'm attracted to and this is how I'm attracted to them. So if we're splitting up totally, instead of saying I'm just straight, you are heterosexual, which tells you the direction, and then you are allosexual, which tells you I'm feeling typical sexual attraction. Whereas then you could be still heterosexual, but then demi. And then you only feel that sexual attraction or emotional bond. That's the same target of your affection or attraction, but a different way of feeling it. And interestingly, I said that zero can't have a direction, but what if you're an oriented arrow ace, for example? So you don't feel romantic or sexual attraction, but you want a QPR with someone. So in that case, you're someone, say, of the same gender. So then you'd be like gay-oriented arrow ace, or I don't really know how to properly put it in the terminology, but you might want a QPR with someone of the same gender as you, but are still arrow ace. So therefore you've got your direction as well. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting way of thinking about it. And that's pretty much the bulk of the video. But I wanted to put it into pictures. So I was trying to figure out a way to visualize these vectors, these attraction vectors. And I kind of went through a thought process. So I started with a single vector on the line between straight and gay. So in that simple case, which I believe is pretty much the Kinsey scale, you have straight on one side, gay on the other side, and in the middle you get bi. Which doesn't really make sense to me. I think in the middle instead you should have asexual, because then when the vector is zero, then you're asexual. But then in any case, that situation leaves out bi people and ace people, which is obviously not great. And then the second thing I thought of was then having a second axis. So we're now on a 2D vector, the first one was a 1D vector, where one plane or one axis is the sexual attraction and one axis is the romantic attraction. So then you have arrow ace right in the middle, then you can go like homoromantic ace or something, and then heteroromantic ace, and assuming arrow ace is in the middle. But the problem is then, once again, we don't have biromantic or bisexual people. So that's a problem. I then thought, maybe I can go to 3 dimensions, but I can't remember exactly why, but it didn't end up working well. I think it's because you need an axis, straight to gay with bi in the middle, then straight to gay with bi in the middle for a romantic attraction, then one for the strength of attraction, so ace to allo, I guess. I suppose that's how it would have to work. But there was something missing. I suppose, one, it discounts oriented arrow aces, because when you're at 0, you're just aromantic, asexual. You can't be like oriented towards any particular gender. Secondly, it definitely enforces a gender binary, and all of the previous ones enforce the same gender binary, so it doesn't leave any room for non-binary folk and things, sexualities and romantic orientations which are attracted to more than 2 genders, for example pansexuality. So it's no good, but I don't know. So then I thought instead, we go back to a 2-dimensional system, and we have our 2 axes. One axis is your straightness, and another axis is your gayness. And then, so in this case, bi is in one corner and ace is in the other corner. But then you have multiple vectors, one for each type of attraction you want to define. So you might have one for sexual attraction, then one for romantic attraction, then one for aesthetic attraction, and you get all these vectors, maybe different colours. I've probably put them somewhere on screen if I'm any good at editing. And then that's your split attraction model attraction vectors. That's not a very catchy name. But once again, enforcing a gender binary. And I think this is the point where maths failed me. I imagine there is some way of representing attraction with a vector or something like that, but I wanted to make it visual, and being limited to 3 dimensions, I think it's impossible to escape the gender binary in that case. My only solution was to abandon maths and try to make it pretty by putting a little bow on the arrow if you're pan, and that just adds pan onto. So if you're like bi and you're in like the bi quadrant and add a little bow on, then maybe that indicates that you're attracted to multiple genders. I don't know. I do not know. But yeah, that's as far as I got my representation. I do not know what this video has devolved into. I am very sorry. I have been rambling for 15 minutes, which is not as long as I thought it was. Yes, if you managed to get this far in the video, thank you, because I know this probably isn't very interesting to most people. But I found the concept of having 2 separate forms of orientation, direction and magnitude. So asexual to allosexual in one for the magnitude, and then gay to straight with some gender non-conforming stuff in the middle. On the other, for the direction, I thought that was interesting, an interesting way to think about it, and then I went too far and started making pictures. But yeah, if you did enjoy it, then please leave a comment below and tell me if you got this far. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like. I post videos every Saturday, so if you want to see more, then feel free to subscribe. That is all I had to say today. Have a wonderful day, and I shall see you next time. One being the direction and one being the magnitude. Other way around. And if you like my musings on attraction and vectors,